Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Ray Donovan. So, a lot of interesting things went down in this episode. I thought it was kind of fascinating just to show you how much Sam really wants that prison. She brought it up before that's the reason why she's backing the whole Anita thing was about that, because she wants to be able to get that property. I don't think she explained why, but it's like she's even going as far as going behind Anita's back and being like, oh yeah, I'll work with you, Ed. I'll let you, I'll endorse you and you can reinsure your re-election. I'll, kind of pull out my support for Anita if you get me that prison, which is like, holy crap, like, that's crazy. I mean, to be fair, she isn't, backing Anita, with the best intentions. I mean, it kind of made that clear from the beginning. I mean, I guess she can justify it here and there in some regards, but mainly she's in it for her own interest, to be fair. That's kind of what Sam does in general. But Ed didn't really appreciate it, because I guess in Ed's mind it's like, yeah, I know you're behind a lot of stuff that's trying to screw over my campaign and stuff like that. So it's like, oh, I don't know what you mean. And so it was interesting, because for him it's kind of like, oh, we'll go blow to blow. And then Sam was almost kind of like, okay, I offered you my help, so now I'm basically going to go destroy you. So basically enjoy your last bit of time as mayor, which you kind of see that, as the episode progresses, but we'll get to that soon enough. Sam is the type of lady gets her way, which is interesting, because I'm curious, because I wouldn't put it past that dude Ed. I'm curious because once he's made it pretty clear, so it's kind of like I'm interested to see what he might do just to keep his position. He might not be the way he was making it sound like he's not afraid of getting a little dirty like Sam is, but we'll see. I also love that little situation with George too. It's just kind of like a little minor scene of just being like, her being like, yes, George, that girl you shouldn't have never told her and promised her to be a movie star, because she's not going to be this actor picking this role, that we're still pulling out for. So it's like basically go back to something in Minnesota. Basically, it's kind of like treatment or whatever. I guess for him, it's like be there for 28 more days, and then we can bring this discussion back up again. She's like, I'm not trying to do this because I hate you. It's like, because I love you. And he's like, F this whole movie thing. And she's like, that's the spirit. So, not everything Sam works out for her, but in the long run, I still think it kind of works out. How they ended up playing that crap out in Ray, in a time crunch and everything, trying to get things done. That whole Anita situation with the Justine thing, which now it's like, oh, help me out with my brother. And I'm wondering, is her brother in Arthur Kill prison? I'm wondering, is he associated with that, because they made such a point, because that's also where Chalky got sent, I believe. And it's like the fact that they're focusing on that makes me think, okay, like what's going to go on with that? I don't know. It seems like that's definitely going to turn some plot relevant. I just not 100% sure why, especially the Chalky situation, what that's going to turn into. But we'll kind of have to wait and see on that front. So, but I guess kind of, especially after Justine kind of literally kind of got beat up this episode, just to play that role. And it's like, Ray and the team always coming up with something clever. They're good at manipulating a situation like that. Also, we found out, kind of tying it all together, it's like Daryl got kicked off the set of Mr. Lucky, because I mean, to be fair, it's like Jay's not going to work with Daryl on the scene. I mean, it's like, to be fair, everything that happened was Mickey, even the whole blackmailing and stuff like that. That was more so Mickey, but it's like, oh, Daryl's culpable. Which is interesting, because it seems like Jay's kind of got like a F all Donovan's type of situation going on, because it's like even seeing Ray on the set kind of bothered him, even though Ray's the one that paid for to be fair, Sam paid the ransom, but Ray looked out for you. He saved you to, in certain regards. I mean, it was like, once again, more so Sam, but still semantics, right? It was interesting because we saw Stu, and it's like, even Ray was like, oh crap, hey Stu. I was like, when's the last time we saw Stu? The last time that comes up in my memory is the whole like Tory Black situation. Like he was trying to hook up with her. Granted, it wasn't Tory Black playing herself. She was playing a actress on a show. I don't know. I can't remember if her character was actually a porn star in the TV show 2 or movie, whatever it is they were filming. But it was like a sex scene, and he wanted to hook up with her and ended up, that whole situation. I feel like that might have been season 1. That might have been season 3, but I could be wrong. I feel like because that's what pops in my head. You know, Stu's popped up in other situations too, but it's like, hey, and I even love him playing it up. It's like, yeah, I'm kind of put on this situation, kind of not a movie he really wants to be on, but it's like, okay, yeah, you just gotta get out of here, Ray. And he's like, yeah, get up, F off my set, Ray. And even walk beside Ray. It's like, hey, so, you know, we're still good. You know, hey, I'm gonna be in town for a little bit. Hit me up. You know, got a new family and everything. It's like, you're having this conversation with me. And Ray's just kind of like, yeah, okay. He's like, yeah, and just kind of like, oh, hit me up, Ray. It was just kind of interesting. It's like, wow. And just like you just bring a character like that back, and I'm sure it's gonna be interesting because obviously in the end of it, Daryl gets his position back, so Stu kind of got kicked off the project. To be fair, Stu didn't really care too much about the project, but maybe it pisses him off because it's like, I've literally set up my home situation here for right now, so maybe he's gonna be pissed at Ray about it. I don't know. So it is kind of interesting how that all kind of played out like that. So I'm curious to see, will Stu kind of pop up more or not, or was that just kind of like a one-off thing? We'll see. And also, how is Jay going to react to that, like having Daryl back on set and stuff like that? That's definitely, that relationship's never going to be the same. I mean, to be fair, he always held animosity against Daryl anyway. I mean, they were making progress before the Mickey thing started happening, but it's like, yeah, he's always going to remember you as the reason why he's in this situation. You blackmailed him after he accidentally killed his sensei and all that stuff. But also, it's just kind of like, you're the reason why he got kidnapped in this regard, everything. It's like, yeah, that was your dad mixing and all that, so there's that. There was an interesting conversation between Ray and Terry. It's like, right, they still don't, well, eventually Terry finds it out later on, but Ray was still under dark about like, oh yeah, they don't have the money. Sandy does? It looked like, I mean, to be fair, like, it seemed like Sandy was still relatively in the States. Maybe that's not the case. Maybe she had already left the country and stuff like that. Just where, like, the fact is, well, I guess wherever she was, Kyle wasn't really paying too much attention to the map. I just assumed that was going to represent the fact is, but I doubt it. It was just me being stupid, nevertheless. But none of them know that, because no one knows that Bunchy and Mickey are still in town. Because even Terry was like, you really just gave $3 million to Mickey without any other backup plans? It's like, what else was supposed to do? He's like, why don't I believe you? And then there's the whole situation where Ray talking to Terry is like, what are you doing taking fights like that? Your condition? I was like, right. I'm a complete and utter idiot. It never even crossed my mind to think about Terry's condition. I was like, it's like, wow. I mean, even more reason why Terry wants to do it too. Because I was like, God, that's another reason why you're not fighting is because of your condition in the first place. He had surgery and stuff to, you know, alleviate the symptoms and stuff like that. But to be fair, it's not like it still makes it impossible for him to do any fighting because, you know, he'd never be able to do anything professionally just because of his condition. I'm like, right, that makes even more sense why he's doing it. It's not just being like a has-been or whatever. It's just because his condition wouldn't allow him to do something that he loves. He can train, but he can never do anything too serious. And I'm like, okay, because I think I literally let that slip my mind, which is crazy because that's a big chunk of Terry's story, and I can't believe I let that slip my mind. I'm such an idiot. But the conversation thing I thought was kind of interesting because he's like, you should have brought me along when you talked to Bunchy. He's like, do you really think it would have made a difference? He's like, yeah, Bunchy's scared of you. He always has been. And you see that hurts Ray because, like, Ray's like, I didn't know that. You know, it's kind of like, you know, because no one, because like legitimately, he says it in this episode. He says it all the time. Their dad is a piece of crap. And it's like, the fact of the matter is, Bunchy's so scared of me, he would turn to Mickey amongst any one of us. There are 3 other people in this family he could have turned to. You could have turned to me, you could have turned to Terry, you could have turned to Daryl, but you turned to Mick? You know, so that's the situation. And it's like, that's got to hurt because it's like, that means you're lower on the pole of people he would trust. I mean, to be fair, like amongst anyone, he made it clear before and we could see it even more. And even when you look in the past, the person he's always going to the most has always been Terry for certain regards. I mean, he goes to Ray for others when he really needs stuff like done and taken care of, just because it's like, Ray's kind of the bruiser of the family, so it's kind of like you need some stuff really taken care of, turn to him type of thing. So I guess for him it's just because in his eyes he's always going to be a screw up, and I guess that's something that like he doesn't want Ray looking at him like that, like he's an idiot or a screw up, you know, which Bunchy does screw up a lot. And I feel like on some level maybe that's where him and Connor kind of are a little bit of alike, because it seemed like Connor wants to always impress his dad. He doesn't want his dad to look at him like he's weak or something like that. That's how I interpret that, but maybe that's just me, which is interesting considering the whole Connor thing this episode. But it's like, you know, Bunchy's in that tough spot because he wants to have nothing to do with Mick's whole plans and stuff like that. But Mick's like, hey, we're going to rob a bus of rich people. And, you know, it's like, oh, God. But Bunchy, gives Maria to Terry, and it's like, if I'm not back in 48 hours, call Teresa. And it's like, he doesn't have, like, you don't have to do this bunch. And he's kind of like, I have no choice. Like, you can tell he really doesn't want to do this. It's another one of Mick's asinine schemes. The last one blew up in their faces, and it's like, this one's probably going to do the same, because if Bunchy doesn't get off the bus in time too, it's like the cops are going to question him, and that's going to lead down a whole path of things, because it's like, oh wait, who are you again? Oh, Bunchy Donovan and Brennan Donovan, and then that's going to circulate, turn all that against. So there's that complication, but it's like, Mickey should be putting him in that situation in the first place, but for Mickey, it's like, oh, we'll get to Vietnam and all that, and it's just kind of like, man, it's a crappy situation. But legitimately, Bunchy, even under these circumstances, because Ray made it clear, like last time, it's like, if you do this, you take this money, you're on my shit list, like Mickey is. But for Bunchy's kind of like, hey, if that's how it's got to be, it's got to be, because he's trying, like I said, Bunchy doesn't want to be taken away from his daughter, but now it's like he put him in a situation where he's going to be taken away from his daughter for a lot longer, for running away for kidnapping her under these circumstances, and assisting his dad. So it's kind of like Bunchy's messing up on all fronts, and it's just like he's going to go deeper. Like, things are not going to play out well with this heist of theirs next time, but we'll see. And since I brought him up earlier, is the whole thing with Connor, which that was kind of interesting, because obviously, because what Smitty brought up earlier in the episode, the whole thing about Ellis Island and stuff like that, I think hearing, Smitty's perspective about stuff with his dad made Ray kind of want to spend time with Connor, especially because this is going to be Connor's last time, but free before he gets shipped off to Germany. And it's like, oh, he's drinking. It's like, oh, like in retrospect, it's kind of like, I think he was drinking to calm his nerves, because this whole situation had him a lot more freaked out than he wanted to admit. But he's kind of like, whoa, you drink and stuff like that. He kept getting all defensive and stuff. Like, to be fair, like, he made it clear, like, wasn't it last season that he's like, I think he literally said, you think I'm a pussy, don't you? The fact of the matter is, like I said, it seems like he's got, like, Connor's doing all this because it seems like it's not like he's trying to prove, it seems like he's trying to prove something to himself and his dad, like, oh, I can do something I'm good at this. Like, he wants to, he just said at stubborn age where he doesn't really want to listen, especially because Ray's like, oh, we should do this and do that. You want to go to Ellis Island with me? It's like, no, come on, Dad, this is fine, you won't help me with this particular situation. It's like, dude, it's kind of shitty. Your dad is like legitimately trying to spend as much time with you because he loves you. But it seemed like Connor was so caught up in his own BS that he didn't really register that. He's like, oh, wait, you're mad at me because I didn't spend it. He's like, no. He's like, because Ray's like, I don't want you doing anything stupid just because you hate me. He's like, I don't hate you. It's like, you sure as hell kind of act like you hate your dad. You're avoiding him like the plague. And the fact of the matter, you're kind of treating him like crap. But, like I said, I think it's just because if Connor's around his dad, maybe it would have made him second guess everything. I guess that's kind of like the thought process behind that. Potentially is what I kind of feel about it, because even Ray was kind of like trying to talk to him, but Connor didn't want to listen, because I think there was a part of him that is scared by this whole situation, but he's like, no, I gotta man up. I gotta, like I said, he's got that perspective of kind of like he has to do this or he isn't a man or something like that. I mean, because Ray's terrified, because it's like, I don't want you to go out there and die. It's not like our family's had the greatest history when it comes to the military. It's like, oh yeah, your grandfather went off, died. Your uncle went off, died. And it's like, because of military stuff, and he's like, he doesn't want the same thing to happen to Connor. I mean, it's like, losing Abby still has him messed up. Like, it had him messed up for such a long time. He doesn't want to lose one of his kids like that. But, and it's something Mackins will talk about later. It's like, he's 18 years old. He's not going to listen to you. Did you listen to your dad when you were 18? And he's like, well, yeah, my dad was a piece of shit, is what Ray says. But Mac is like, my dad was a saint. Told me he loved me every day, but I still resented him even when I was 18, because that's just like how you are. You're an idiot at 18 and just being, in some cases, some people are good at 18 being like, no, I'd never rebel. Even not like me, in retrospect, like, oh yeah, I said and did stupid shit as an 18-year-old. I'm like, why the hell you do that? I guess it's kind of like a rite of passage in the general teenage / young adult rite of passage in a weird sense, I guess. So that's interesting. I'm curious of what they're going to do about the whole situation, because I feel like another gutter punch, like, in a situation would be to kill Connor. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to go down that route, but it seems like they're kind of hinting at it, especially when you look at the history of the Donovan family in that regard of, like, Ray's grandfather and his uncle dying, just, kind of be like, oh yeah, like the Donovans don't have a lot of luck on their side when it comes to these type of situations, but maybe things will work out. I thought it was kind of interesting, the whole situation with that Irish lady he met. She seemed almost like a ghost because he looks up and she's gone. It's like, oh, they're kind of hitting it off. That's a situation that's like, man, seeing Ray smile is weird because you see it happen from time to time, but more often than not, he's kind of got that like very stoic face, like he's ready to punch your face in. I mean, and this is kind of shitting on my part. I mean, I don't know. A lot of times you see Liev Schreiber, he kind of looks like that. But to be fair, that might just be stemmed from the fact is that when I think Liev Schreiber, I think Sabretooth in X-Men Origins, which I know a lot of people like. Why do you? Yeah, I know. I'm sure even he like stems away from that in his mind. I know that's just generally just kind of like people don't like, whatever the case may be. But I think it's also because he's been Ray for like, what, 5-6 years now, basically. So I think I just associate him with the character. So a lot of Ray's mannerisms, I think I just attribute to Liev Schreiber. So I think that might just be that whole perception I have. Anyway, nevertheless. So like I said, we'll see in the long run what ends up happening with that. But what I thought was also interesting, too, was the whole Smitty situation. It's like, okay, so yeah, don't tell Bridget about this situation. Like, it's into still bonding and stuff like that. I was kind of hoping he was going to take Smitty with him to Ellis Island and be like, yeah, because it's like, hey, father and son-in-law type of situation. But he's like, yeah, don't tell Bridget about this situation. And it's like, yeah, I don't feel comfortable lying to her. Ray's like, what? Did you tell her that you were a major drug dealer? He's like, no. Did you tell her you were $80,000 in debt? He's like, no, but you don't want to lie to her. And he's like, okay, like, I won't tell her about this. And Bridget walks out and is like, oh boy. It's like, what about the blood on your clothes? Did you kill someone? Ray's like, no. And then she turns to Smitty because she's like, he might be lying. Did he kill someone? And Smitty's like, no, he didn't. It's like, yeah, we just talked to the guy. You got blood all over you and stuff like that. I mean, Bridget's kind of pissed because for her, it's just kind of like, stay out of our lives and stuff like that. And I guess just because for her, it's just kind of like she doesn't want all that stuff trailing back to her life. To be fair, like Ray was trying to help you out, like help Smitty out of a situation, like a terrible situation that he was in. But I guess in her mind, it's like you could have handled it a different way. You handled it your way, and your way just causes more problems, which is interesting. Like considering the fact that, I mean, it's I guess it's at that phase. It's kind of sad because Ray's kind of screwed on both fronts because it almost seems like neither one of his kids wants to have anything to do with them. I mean, literally, that's the only family he has left now that Abby's gone. Like he's already, like, once again, the complicated situation with his own brothers and his dad is like, Ray doesn't really have many people. Hence, I guess that's why the whole Anita situation is playing out the way it is, which I brought it up before. Not surprised. Cause I think I saw something in the trailers. Maybe the one time I got a glimpse of the trailers, the trailer for this season that I saw them hooking up, which to be fair, I mean, it's kind of a pattern. When there's like a very beautiful lady added to the season, typically you can bet like, oh yeah, Ray's going to hook up with her. I guess this would be kind of the one time he hooked up with someone and it's not shitty. Just because, well, I mean, just because he's not in the right state of mind because he's so depressed about the Connor situation, but more so it's like, oh yeah, like, every other time he hooked up with someone, it was him cheating on Abby. This time he's not cheating on Abby, so it makes it slightly better, I guess. I mean, it's still kind of a complicated situation because it's like, oh yeah, the whole situation with you, Anita, Sam, that whole complicated thing. I don't know if Sam's going to appreciate that, you doing that, but I mean, maybe Sam won't care as long as it doesn't screw up her plans and mess things up, which, I mean, in the long run, it potentially could, but we'll see. But I also thought it was kind of interesting. It seemed like Smitty tried to have Ray's back later on because it's like, yeah, Chalky's in jail. Like, you must have had something to do with that. But Ray didn't really say anything. But you saw Bridget kind of perk up like, what? The police got involved? Like, I think Smitty was trying to have Ray's back and be like, yo, like, Bridget, look at your dad. He didn't hurt. Like, yeah, things kind of played out the way he did, but your dad handled it a great way, got Chalky arrested, didn't kill him or anything. Isn't that all? That's how I interpret it, but maybe that's not the case because Bridget was trying to avoid their dad, so like I said, it's just a sad situation as it is. So it's a complicated thing of kind of like something else because it just comes to my mind because someone was recently talking about the Blacklist a little while back and they were talking about how They were commenting on one of my reviews and being like, "Oh, Liz is so ungrateful," and Liz has her complicated situation with Red. I know I'm not trying to compare apples to oranges, but Ray's situation is complicated too, and it's kind of like the Donovan family's always kind of had a complicated life, so obviously, Bridget doesn't want that kind of coming back to her, because it's like Smitty's not catching any flack for all the lies and stuff he told, but it's just because I don't know. It seems like she held some resentment towards Ray. I mean, it seemed like everything was good, but I mean, to be fair, even at the beginning of the season, it's like, yeah, things were awkward between them to begin with. So it's a complicated thing, even with the whole Smitty getting surgery at the end of season 5, but still. Either way, I'm very interested to see where all this takes us going forward into the next episode. So, but really, that's all I want to talk about. Until the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.